get comfy, settle in. I know I say a lot of these movies are in my top favorites. I am telling you guys right now, this is my favorite movie of all time. It's Abby's MotorCityNerds. Hi to all new subscribers, welcome. I don't care if nobody sees this, but I hope everybody does. We're going to talk about my favorite movie of all time. And I know I said I have favorites. No, this is my favorite movie of all time. This is directed by Joe Dante from 1989, The BURBS. I don't know how they made this fly under the radar, because I think it had something to do with Big coming out and being such a phenomenon, and it was huge. And then people were like, we don't want the image we're making for Tom Hanks to mesh with Murder in the Suburbs. Family-friendly, fun guy with Big, which, looking back on it, 13 Going on 30 does it way better and not as creepy. Because how does something in the 80s, with Tom Hanks at the height of it, like when he's popping off, Carrie Fisher, who's so funny in this, she's hilarious. She's got some of the best scenes. Corey Feldman. Those three things alone in the 80s automatically meant, like, it's a poppin' thing. Very small community of us publicly supporting the BURBS. I think my mom has refused to actually sit through it all the way because she was so sick of us quoting it and watching it all the time. I got my sister a shirt that said, it just was all black with white writing that said, I want to kill everyone, Satan is good, Satan is our pal. And I had her open it on Christmas. I have a shirt and I couldn't find it, I'm pissed off about it. It says, green sky at morning, neighbor take warning. Got all four of them on it. And then I have a mug right here. My sister got me this too. There go the goddamn brownies. Bruce Dern, icon, Western icon. The reason this happened was because Precious and Silence of the Lambs and Queenie in the BURBS are the same dog. And I just reviewed Silence of the Lambs because of Jodie Foster, it's my favorite, and True Detective and stuff. And then I was like, I'm talking about the BURBS. And I made a TikTok about Queenie and Precious being the same dog. It did a little bit better than my other ones, so I was like, about the BURBS? What? And then there was so much love for this movie. This really is one of the best film scores of all time. And I mean that. And I stand by that. This movie's pretty perfect. But nothing. Some things do it good. The reason you put things in the suburbs, and this is my beef with Euphoria, because they don't know where to pick a lane. The reason you put something in the suburbs is for a reason. And it's normally to go like, we have this cookie cutter thing, but the second an outsider, or like in Edward Scissorhands, or this, or anybody different comes in. Or like you scratch the surface and you find out like, oh, life isn't all it seems, even though it's this thing people strive for. There's always issues underneath. But Euphoria doesn't know how to pick a lane. Like when they want it to be an urban setting, they make it that, and then when they want it to feel like the suburbs, they make it that. And I'm like, which one are we doing here? What are we doing? But very few things I feel like capture it, and I know this is called The BURBS. It's the whole point. But that's the thing too with it, is Joe Dante's directing. He did Gremlins, he did Small Soldiers. He's got a very particular type of humor, and what he's trying to say kind of gets meshed together a little bit, where he's trying to say like, don't just judge outsiders. Now, if they're weird and doing weird shit, then you can investigate. But don't just assume because they're outsiders that what they're doing is weird, or that they're strange, or that they're not like you. But in this, they really are not like you. But he's saying not to judge people that way. But I think they do a really, especially for the 80s, I don't think people that didn't grow up in this time realize, maybe, I mean, 2000s, we were kind of close. But like everything was stereotypes. That was heavily relied on in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And the BURBS doesn't do that. It does the opposite. They're doing the polite neighbor shit. In the suburbs, it's normally a safer community and stuff, right? So these trivial things that people are worrying about, if you grew up in that, people really worry about that shit. Because he trains his dog to crap in my yard. That petty shit, that trivial shit. The way Tom Hanks delivers this one line, if this doesn't get you going like, oh, I've heard every mom, every dad, anybody who lives in the suburbs say that out their window about their neighbor at some point, when he just goes, you think they're going to do anything about their yard? And when Art tells him, you share a property line with them, it's like, no, yeah, you gotta fucking do it. Oh my god. You also have to remember, this was at the height of, we still don't like Russians. Like Rocky was beating communism with a boxing match on Christmas. Having Ray say things like, is that a Slavic name? Like, at this point in time, our media had them be the bad guys, or Russians, or Eastern Europeans, because we really did not like them in real life. They always do that with media. They're trying to say, don't be judged, and they're being polite, and they're being nice, and they're trying their best to tell themselves, these people are not killers next door. Knowing full well, this shit ain't normal. It doesn't matter where you're from. But we're trying to be polite, suburban neighbors. But we're constantly staring out our windows. We don't give a shit. I get it. You go somewhere else, you don't point, you don't stare. I'm fully aware. No, the suburbs, we love it. We live for it. That's our thing. People are always watching. That scene when Tom Hanks, looks out his window, and Bruce Dern's lighting a cigar, like, I'm here too, bud. That happened to me and my neighbor one time, because I used to work midnight, so I'd always be the Ray Peterson. How Ray gets being off work is exactly how I would get every shutdown. When we'd have a couple weeks off for retooling at the plant, my mom would be like, you're going to waste your vacation away, get upset about it, not do anything, sit around in your pajamas all day, and you're going to go back to work upset. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. This is relaxing, Carol. This. I'm going to listen to the game, drink a couple hundred beers, smoke the occasional cigar outside. And the running jokes for this hit every time. Him with the cigars. Art with his wife. Art's got a gun. Kind of ignore these absurdities when we're used to them, but what about when they're new? But what if they are actually weird? Playing with that is so funny. They're daring each other to ring the doorbell. And everybody watching like that, when the music cuts in to the spaghetti western, it's perfect. It's exactly what everyone would be doing. Staring, pointing, and going, look at them. And then we all pretend like we didn't see it later. We're all like, oh no, we weren't out. What? No, we all watched. So what I'm trying to say here is, like, that was not a thing in the 80s and 90s of being, like, politically correct and nice and correctly acting towards people that are foreign. It didn't take place in our movies. It didn't take place in a lot of people's homes. God, when Sam Jackson in what's the series that just came out and the ending dropped the ball? The Fury Show, Nick Fury Show. He said Rooskies. And I was like, holy shit, we're bringing Rooskies back? Oh my God. Man, that's been a minute. You remember when people got called Rooskies? That was funny. I liked that. I was like, is it funny? I don't know. I think it's funny. But that's what I mean. We didn't have a problem just saying things like that. I'm going, do everything in our power to not think they're off. But they are off. It is so goddamn funny. One of my favorite scenes and running gags to this is Art with his wife. And how, obviously, he's not her biggest fan. Like the ending, when the house is on fire. Art, your house is on fire. Uh-huh. And your wife's home. My wife. Your wife who listens to their wife. But I could see if you don't pick up on that quick wit thing, this might not be for you, or that dry humor. I guess it might not be for you. If you think Gremlins and stuff is funny, you'll think this is hilarious. But when Carrie Fisher says, and they're all acting like they're 8, and they're like, can Ray come out? And she says, he can come out when he resembles the man I married. And they just go, Carol, we don't have that kind of time. She's like, okay. And Carrie Fisher's so funny in this. I'm afraid people are going to watch this and find out 90% of the stuff I say is from the BURBS. I really do. The dream sequence is perfect. That's what this movie does. With the score, with everything, with the setting, with setting these characters up and making them real. Like, I knew a bunch of Ray Petersons growing up. Aloof, whatever. But when they get with their buddies, they're like, oh no, I'm good now. But back at dinner, I really didn't give a shit what any of you were really talking about. And the way the son is nonchalant about, like, and she's like, where's your father at? And she knows, like, what the hell? They're mortified. The wives are mortified at what their husbands are doing. And when just the way the son's like, I think they're in the basement. I think they're playing canasta or something. Not giving a shit what his dad is doing. And his dad is enthralled in it. When Art's going off, my cousin Jerry's a priest. He can get us a deal. We need to get us a couple quarts of that lamb's blood. This incubus, the succubus, mutilations. Mutilations! And they're always smoking cigars, and it's pissing Carrie Fisher off. I love that. Like, they're constantly telling her they'll go outside, but then somebody's always lighting up inside. It's like, that's all this woman has asked for. She just doesn't want you to smoke in the house and to have a good vacation. The accuracy of all these characters being set up. The son going, Ricky Butler says they're nocturnal feeders. Oh, well, Ricky Butler says is one of the best. It's my favorite, but that's totally something that would happen. The older teenage kid telling you something or making you think you're seeing something. The older kid in the neighborhood saying, like, ooh, this spooky thing, and it's like, oh yeah, you believe him. Or did they really see that? A femur happens to be a human thigh bone, Ray. Biology 101. And that's what I mean here. They play Art so ridiculous that you're like, but he's not wrong. But he's just enjoying the week his wife's gone with his mother-in-law. I'm gonna fight whoever this is. I'm literally recording about it right now. Everybody's texting me back about the BURBS, and I'm like, I fight them. It's Tater and Phil. Because everybody is so relatable and down to earth and realistic in this suburban atmosphere, I feel like it meshes perfectly with this is totally absurd stuff. It just seamlessly goes together. Hey, Ricky, get this lamb off my yard. Shut up. Me and at the same time, at 2:57, we both text each other. It came with the frame at the same time. No. I'm seeing a resurgence of it. I'm so glad that this happened. I really am. I'm telling you guys, for years, this was not on streaming. I will continue to pay for Netflix as long as the BURBS is on it. Everything in this is great. It's so good. But when Tom Hanks deadpan says, I'm going over the fence tomorrow, and I'm not coming back until I find a dead body. And nothing is funnier than that.
As soon as that car leaves in the morning, I'm going over the fence, and I'm not coming back till I find a dead body. Nobody knocks off an old man in my neighborhood and gets away with it.
You've had that in your trousers all day. The fact that they're so serious about it, that it's not, it's same thing with Gremlins though, and the same director did it, where it's like, no, this is really going down. This was cute and cuddly for a minute, but now it's scary. This was cool, we're all right, we're dealing with your weird behavior, suburbia being polite shit already. But now we really think you're up to something. Just not rude enough to say it to your faces. We're gonna be nosy and snoop around. It smells like they're cooking a goddamn cat over there. And Ricky Butler having the party, Corey Feldman doing all of that, like, on the side. Corey Feldman is almost the backdrop to it. And I'm telling you guys, if it was the right set of neighbors at a certain time, we or our parents or our siblings probably would have, if we really thought somebody was hurt or worse, we'd break into their house. A soldier's way saves the day. Do you want to not steal that? Do you want to not steal that from our neighbor? When you first watch this and the Walter thing happens at the end, it's genuinely like, shit, what do we do? And then to find out, like, no, they are killing people, and you piss us off. It's so, I mean, it's perfect. And he thinks he saw some shit, but really they never found anything. He's like, I know you saw my skull, and I know you got my femur. And he's like, shit. When he is repeatedly screaming citizen's arrest, I was just asking my friend the other day, how does a citizen's arrest work? Are you allowed to detain them? How does that go? Citizen's arrest. But that's what I always think of. It's like, I think you just yell citizen's arrest repeatedly. I guess this isn't even a review. I'm just excited it's on streaming and you guys can watch it. I'll do something better for this another day. We can watch it together or something, because this is, I'm just saying, this is just a PSA. This is one of the greatest 80s movies. This is my favorite movie of all time. And it makes me laugh every time. And I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'm glad to see more support out here. I'm seeing, like, a few people that are, like, reviewing it or reacting to it, like, in the last year. They have, like, quite a significant following and views and stuff. Man, when I saw this was on streaming, though, I was so excited. I was so geeked. I'm like, oh, my God. I was going to talk about it either way, because we had already brought it up with Precious and Queenie. And I was like, oh, my God. People actually like The Burbs. Don't get me... This is my favorite movie. It's probably a toss-up between... I mean, no, honestly, it's between this and Predator. It's gotta be. For favorite of all time, Predator's the greatest sci-fi action movie of all time. Wait, would it be an anniversary for it this year? Like 35 years or something? We'll talk about it again, whatever. Tom Hanks, you need to talk about this more. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. Bruce Dern, icon. Corey Feldman, what are you doing now? Are you, like, helping abused kids or harming them? What is going on with Corey Feldman? I saw him in Bonnaroo. He's alright. I'm on OF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the things down below. And if you've never seen this movie, please go watch it. It's on Netflix. I don't know how long it'll be there for. And just know, if you're not from the suburbs, that is exactly what people do, that trivial, petty bullshit. And then you're like, I think they're doing weird shit. But you don't say it to them. But when Art says you share a property line, I mean, nothing, as that hits home, you're like, God damn it. They're right. They're right. They didn't do something with their yard? Say what you will about the Naps, but the Naps were semi-normal. They came out, they worked in their yard, they had a yard to mow. Oh my God. Not enough people know about this. It's the best, and it's Tom Hanks' best. This was a great movie, and so goddamn funny. Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher are going at it, and then the son comes, he's like, Dad, they're throwing garbage all over the street. And he's like, what? And the wife, and Carrie Fisher's like, you'll halt everything for this? And that, the accuracy of that scene of going, well, who's going to pick it up? Well, you, because you are a garbage man. I could totally see somebody in my neighborhood saying that and being a total asshole. I could totally see that. We all have that one neighbor who's like, my taxes pay your whatever, so I can treat you however I want, and it's the worst. It's accurate. And the way the other garbage dude is talking to him about... I think he's talking about joining a cult. He's like, it's not a religion, Larry. And he's like, whatever it is, shove it. And I think he's talking about, like, joining a cult, and he just is not entertained by the craziness going on in this cul-de-sac and this craziness that's coming out of his coworker's mouth. And it's the subtle things like that that make this so funny. But there's very few public supporters for the Burbs, and I'm one of them. It's my all-time favorite. Somebody said it, they're like, I've wondered what your favorite movie is, and I'm like, have I not outright said it? Have I not outright said The Burbs? Comfy time. Throwing on this. We're not doing a lot. We're just talking about my favorite movie. So, I'm sorry if you clicked on this thinking it would be more in-depth, but it's just... Tom Hanks in the suburbs thinking his neighbors are killing people, but then his wife keeps telling him you're being ridiculous, and than they really are. The Burbs. But it's so accurate. And then, like I said, just the juxtaposition of, like, this insane thing going on. But it's not that crazy because we all have stories like that. And I feel like in the suburbs, like, these urban legend stuff grow, like, bigger. Like, we had, this is true, on the same street we had Cigar Man, who had a standoff with police. Cigar Man. You will only know him if you're from a certain part of the city, because he used to walk to the gas station, to Kroger, around, and it was Cigar Man. And we didn't know where he lived exactly, but we knew it was in, like, within an 8-block radius. Patrick the Red-Faced Bum. But Cigar Man, he lived about 4 streets and a main road away. I don't know if people understand the distance of that, so it was pretty close. He had a standoff with the cops, to the point where a tank went down our main road, and we were all out there like it was a fucking parade, and you could tell they were like, SWAT teams were like, go in your homes, and we're like, there's a tank out here, we don't give a shit, it's Cigar Man, like it was a parade day. And then, a couple years after, well, which one came first? Cigar Man or the Chopper? This is what I mean, like, people know each other, and people talk in the suburbs and crap like that, and people want to know and get to the bottom of stuff. I don't know why my sound started cutting out, but what I was trying to say was, a few years, like 2 years after the Cigar Man, or maybe a year after, right on the same street, he had the standoff with the tank and the police. 3 blocks down, a guy chopped up his girlfriend and her new boyfriend, or his roommate, something like that, put them in bags and threw them in the Detroit River. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, some people just want to know, but everybody knows each other and everybody talks. My best friend at the time's dad hung out with the guy who did it's dad. And they had the same name. His son was a junior. But they were, like, vandalizing his house, vandalizing his cars, sending him death threats, all this stuff, and they thought it was the son. And he had to move and stuff. I felt bad for him. I was like, oh my God. But then, of course, people were talking to my friend's dad. They're like, oh, tell us about it. And what? But no, we gotta know. We gotta know. But yeah, the Chopper and Cigar Man. Same street. And that's just 2. I'm sure every neighborhood has this. It doesn't matter if it's suburbs, the city, it doesn't matter. I remember I asked my friend Omari at work, and he's from a very different area and how he came up than I am, and I was like, nothing like scary, but is there just like a person that used to like walk around your specific neighborhood, whatever? And he said, and this was like the most descriptive one anybody's ever given me, and he just goes, did you ever see the Snake Man at Rouge Park? And I'm like, excuse me? And then he goes, it was a man with like an 8-foot snake in a wheelchair with it like draped around his neck, and he just was steady at the park, and they were just like, that's Snake Man, and it was just, he was there, and I'm like, that's a lot more than I thought I was going to get. We had, like, Patrick the Red-Faced Bum, who we all ended up finding out wasn't homeless. I don't know what was going on there. So, he had a brother. I don't know, but then everybody knew that family. I don't know. But this is what I mean about the suburbs and people talking and stuff. It just, that's what it is. It's the accuracy of going, I'm snooping around, I'm being a nosy neighbor, I won't just ask. I love when the wife says that. And she's like, we'll probably figure out more in an hour of chit-chat than you guys have in a week of sneaking around like freaks. And we all know you're doing this. But your weirdness we're okay with. It's the new people's that we have a problem with. But then we end up really finding out we should have a problem with it. We're denying all the weird stuff and going, oh, maybe it's this. And really it's no, they're just weird. It's so funny. Get this lame out of your yard. I called the pizza dude. I don't know. There's nothing more I can say about this. It's great.